How you guys doing? HumbleZeus here, and welcome back to more Overwatch. Today we're going to be talking about hero stacking and whether or not it should be removed from the game. A lot of the community is kind of split on this. Some people feel like it should stay in the game, some people feel like it needs to be removed from the game and it breaks balance. So today I'm going to be taking a look at hero stacking and whether or not I feel personally it should be removed or if it should stay. Now, of course, it's all subjective. You can obviously offer your own counterpoints, and I encourage you, if you feel strongly either for or against this, to leave your opinions down below so long as you're respectful about it and you don't attack other people for having a conflicting opinion from you. So let's look at the pros for hero stacking. The first one, and I think the first really big one, is freedom of choice. Being allowed to pick whatever hero you want to play, in my mind, is very important. Allowing people to play characters they enjoy or play characters they are very skilled with whenever they want to, I think, is a very big positive to Overwatch compared to some other hero games where you cannot choose the same hero. Battleborn's a good example, where in multiplayer everybody has to play someone different, so you might end up as a character you're either not familiar with, you don't really know how to play well, and it kind of forces you into this uncomfortable position where you have to play characters you just really would rather not play. And that is a fair point for Overwatch and allowing hero stacking, saying if you want to play a character you're good at or you're comfortable with, do it at your own pace. If you want to, go ahead. No one's stopping you. And that is a really positive point for hero stacking. Another good point for hero stacking is that it allows you to cover bases better. Say you have a healer who's struggling to help the team because everybody's running around everywhere, or they're getting into gunfights where they're really outmatched, or you really need a good push. It allows you to kind of work with your team better by allowing, let's say, two people to play Mercy, going for that double revive, healing, and damage boost. Or let's say you're playing Lucio, one person can be healing, one person can be speed boosting, and that can really help you, not only disrupt the enemy team, but allow you to make better pushes or better defenses depending on what you're trying to do. In this gameplay, we have two healers, though we are playing differently. One of them's a Mercy, and one of them is me, the Lucio. And we managed to keep our team alive against a very strong hero stack, which is 5 Torbjorns and a Bastion, or even 6 Torbjorns. It can be very difficult to beat a combination like that. So I was very impressed with our team, even though a lot of them were upset. We didn't leave, and we managed to do a strong push with that combination. So I imagine that hero stacking, certain combinations can be just as effective as that. So that is another point in favor of hero stacking. The third point in favor of hero stacking is that it can be a very effective strategy to win. There's not a lot of character progression in Overwatch. There's no reason to be leveling up a character. You just play a character you want to play with the stated goal of winning, maybe getting play of the game, or trying to show up on the board at the end. So really, winning is the only primary objective. So if it helps you win, people are gonna hero stack. As again, you can see in the gameplay that you're watching right now, 5 Torbjorns, 1 Bastion. Very difficult to play against. They do end up winning, spoilers, but I think you can imagine if you ever run into a group like this, what's gonna happen at the end of the day. But they did win, and they won pretty, they got us pretty hard, and we all said GG at the end, sort of. And overall, it was a very effective strategy. It kept us on our toes, and if we weren't as coordinated as we were for a group of randoms, we totally would not have come close to where we got in this gameplay. So props to them, just in my own terms, props to them for not leaving, and props to a random team for doing so well together against what is one of the more annoying hero stacks to go up against. So that is a very, valid point for it. You can pull off some really cool victories like that. So that's a really, in favor point of it. And lastly, it can be a lot of fun to just hero stack. It can be a lot of fun to just play 6 random characters, like, 6 Symmetras, or 6 Winstons, or 6 Reinhardts. They can be funny little combinations. Yeah, some of them are annoying. Some of them are just funny to watch. I've seen 6 Mercies, and it's just been hilarious to watch it. So, that's not really a point for or against it, but it is something you might want to consider, that it can just be a lot of fun to play with 6 of the same hero. Now let's look at the reasons not to have hero stacking in the game. The first one, and the reason I put this first because it's kind of, not really a great point, is that it's frustrating to play against 6 of the same hero. Not only in terms of the match gets boring, but it also can be annoying to play up against certain heroes in groups of 6, like Bastion, Torbjorn, Diva, Roadhog. Certain heroes can be annoying to play against on 1v1 terms, yet alone if you have to do 6v6 with a whole bunch of different heroes who are not equipped to handle that one hero. So it is frustrating, and it can cause people to leave games early. It can overall ruin the enjoyment of a match. So I put frustrating there because it encompasses a lot of other issues You don't want people leaving games early. It penalizes them, and it also makes the people who stay in the game have to deal with more crap because now they're going up against a very difficult team with less teammates or a less supportive group of teammates, and it doesn't help anybody. The game becomes less fun, and people are going to be like, you know, I don't want to play Overwatch. Every time I go into a match, I end up getting people who leave because people just keep hero stacking. So that is a very, you know, valid point against it and why it should be removed from the game. Balance is another big issue when you hero stack. If you hero stack, you kind of allow people to cover their own weaknesses. So let's say you have Bastion. Bastion, everybody knows, just get a Genji, deflect, and you're done. How do you do that against 6 Bastions? You know, even if you have Genjis, they can't deflect all the time, and eventually one Bastion will kill a harassing Genji or harassing Widowmaker or harassing Hanzo, whatever you're trying to use to counter that hero. And if you ruin that balance, you no longer can use the excuse just use balancing because that it no longer exists in that match. You now have to just kind of hope to God you can do something. And that, again, defeats the purpose of playing. It reduces fun. People are more annoyed than happy to play the game. So it is really a big thing that you make sure that balance remains. So getting rid of hero stacking would kind of return that balance, which I think is important to this game because all it really has, keeping characters from being overpowered, is that you can say, well, at least they're balanced. So balancing is a really big issue. Third reason some people have mentioned to me about hero stacking is that it kills the diversity of the game. People aren't learning to play different heroes because they're always playing the same heroes, and I can see that happening. I like to play certain heroes more, though I will take on any role that I'm needed in. I do have friends who play the game and they just won't play different characters. They'll go into the same game with the same hero every time, so no one else gets to be healer, or no one else gets to be tank, or no one else gets to be that certain assault character. And for some people, they don't mind that. They're like, whatever, they'll just keep playing the same hero. Other people want to try different heroes, but they don't want to ruin that team composition. So preventing hero stacking forces people to learn to use different characters, which I think is important because you should be able to use, I imagine, 2 characters in every class, I would say. You know, if you can't use more than one support character, you're limiting yourself. If you can't use more than one tank, you're limiting yourself. So a lot of people have claimed that if you hero stack, if you remove hero stacking, I should say, you allow people to learn to use different characters, which I think is also a really good point. I remember wanting to really use Reaper a lot, but when people would pick him, I'd be forced to use somebody else. Not because the game didn't let me pick Reaper, but because I didn't want to contribute to a stagnating team, so I'd pick somebody else. And I ended up learning how to use a large majority of the characters in Overwatch, at least semi-decently. So I think that's really good for the game to allow people to experience different characters by unfortunately saying you can't play this character, but here's a whole other roster of characters to pick. So that is another really good point in favor of removing hero stacking. So looking at the pros and the cons to it, what should we do with hero stacking? Well, personally, I feel hero stacking should be removed from the game. I don't think it's necessarily a very negative thing, but I do think that it's more frustrating to go up against. There are certain combinations that are just way too strong to really be effectively pushed against by randoms. If this was competitive, I could probably see some kind of hilarity going on with like a whole team of like 6 Tropbjorns or Bastions or something being a bit, you know, difficult to work against, but not impossible. But with randoms, you can't really control what they do. You can't time things really super well. You kind of have to work off each other, and that can either work or not work, so I wouldn't recommend having it in the game overall. I think best case scenario, they should limit it to 2 heroes. 2 of the same heroes can be on any team. So that means that you can have, let's say, 2 Tropbjorns or 2 Tracers or 2 Roadhogs or 2 whatevers, but you can't have more than 2. And I think that would limit the problem while still allowing people to pick the same heroes, but allowing people just pick 6 of the same hero, I think completely breaks it. I can deal with 2 Tropbjorns, I can't deal with 6. That's just not a thing that's going to happen. So I think overall they really should, you know, I don't think they should get rid of it completely because I do like that choice, but I think it needs to be limited in some capacity, or if they do have to remove it, allow people to still use it in custom games, or maybe allow it in like a weekly thing that they do. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys personally think about it, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon, hopefully. Zeus out.